We've all heard tales of haunted homes, haunted roads, maybe even haunted amusement parks. However, it may surprise you to learn that even the most innocent looking playgrounds may have a haunted history to them as well. So today on Top 5 Scary Videos, I'm going to be counting down our list of the top 5 cursed playgrounds from around the world. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments. And with that, let's jump in. In at number 5 we have Pennhurst School and Asylum. Originally known as the Eastern Pennsylvania State Institution for the Feeble-Minded and Epileptic, this was an institution for mentally and physically disabled people of southeastern Pennsylvania in Spring City. This was established back in 1903 and around 1,146 people were housed in the insane asylum and around 2,627 in the almshouses, county care hospitals, reformatories and prisons. However, in 1968 conditions at Pennhurst were exposed in a 5-part television series by local NBC 10 correspondent Bill Bodini. In 1981 a Time magazine article described Pennhurst as having, I quote, a history of being understaffed, dirty and violent. And in 1983 9 employees were indicted on charges ranging from slapping and beating patients to arranging for patients to assault one another. In 1977 a district judge ruled that the conditions at Pennhurst violated patients' constitutional rights, and Pennhurst was ultimately closed in 1987. As of right now, the site now houses an incredibly creepy playground and a haunted house attraction, which is a tad insensitive if you ask me, considering the awful atrocities some of those patients went through. Regardless, visitors to Pennhurst have reported feeling cold breezes, hearing screams and even report seeing children playing on the newly constructed playground. In at number 4, Wakaiko Playground. Wakaiko Playground is located on the 400 block of Catherine Street in Philadelphia. However, this is far more than just your average playground, that's for sure. More than 5,000 people are actually buried beneath the community space, which would have me second guessing whether I would want my future children playing there. It is said that Mother Bethel African Episcopal Church used the area as a burial ground back in the 1800s, naming it the Bethel Burial Ground. Burials began in the area all the way back in 1810 after the land was bought by Richard Allen for the church. Bills of mortality and death certificates show that there were around 1,716 burials on the site before 1830. Fill was ultimately used on the site to accommodate burials after 1842. This essentially resulted in stacking graves on top of earlier graves to create more space. Estimates of the total burials range from 3,000 to around 5,000, with the burials ending in 1864 and the site becoming neglected. In 1889 Bethel Church sold the property, and by 1990 it had been transformed into a park, then known as Wakaiko Square. Following that, the Wakaiko Playground was established, which was built over the Bethel Burial Ground, with the park including a recreation center, a tennis court, a playground and water play area. That is haunted for sure. Coming in at number 3 we have Dead Children's Playground. Maple Hill Cemetery is the oldest and largest cemetery in Huntsville, Alabama, with it being founded all the way back in 1822. Now, as we know, cemeteries aren't exactly the most entertaining places for children. Well, I don't think they're entertaining for anyone really. Anyway, the concept of death takes a while to sink in for kids, and a lot of the time they don't understand what is going on. Maple Hill seems to have taken this into consideration because they have a small playground bang in the middle of it, and on top of that, it is considered to be one of the most haunted places in the entire state. The small playground has a bit of everything, a swing set as well as a modern jungle gym. How cute and absolutely terrifying. What child would want to swing on a swing set while their parents mourn the dead? Not me. Regardless, what happened was, around 2007, the cemetery began to run out of room, so the officials from the city of Huntsville decided to remove the playground to make room for more graves. Locals were outraged by this decision because apparently they had become very attached to the playground and demanded a new one be constructed immediately. And that's exactly what happened. The playground was rebuilt, bringing the site back from the dead. As of today, the playground is known to locals as Dead Children's Playground, with the area accumulating many reports of supernatural and paranormal activity. Swings have been known to move by themselves, and spheres of cold ghost light can often be seen floating around the area. Locals have even spotted ghost children playing in the area at night. Coming in at number 2, the Insane Asylum. Sunland Hospital now refers to a chain of defunct mental health facilities throughout the state of Florida, but the one we're specifically looking at today is the W.T. Edwards Tuberculosis Hospital that was roughly opened back in 1952. The hospitals were located all over Florida, including Tampa, Lantana, Mariana, Tallahassee, and Miami. When antibiotics effective against TB were developed, there was no longer a need for the tuberculosis hospitals, and by the beginning of 1960s they were ultimately shut down. However, in 1961 the Division of Sunland Training Centers were established, with many of the W.T. Edwards hospitals being remodeled and reopened across the state. Many of the hospitals had activities for patients, who were mostly children, to engage in. There were swimming pools, hopscotch, shuffleboard, and of course playgrounds. Pictures still exist in the Florida archives of children in uniform posing in their beds or in wheelchairs. Over time, the state of the hospitals began to decline, with them falling under the Florida Department of Children and Families, undergoing several name changes. Eventually, folks had to step in and began speaking out against institutions like Sunland, which often treated its patients as subhumans, subjecting them to a variety of treatments that were considered cruel. After the reveal of the abuse going on inside of the hospitals, they were once again shut down. Now the abandoned building is said to be haunted, with many ghost hunters even breaking in to experience the stranger goings on. However, after one trespasser fell down an elevator shaft inside one of the old buildings, the place was eventually torn down completely. A playground was then built on the site, which is said to have inherited the ghostly activity, with many visitors reporting swings moving on their own accord and hearing sounds of children crying and screaming. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have DeSoto Grade School. Back in 1925, a tornado hit Illinois, known as the Tri-State Tornado. It was a destructive tornado that struck areas in 3 states in the United States on Wednesday, March 18, 1925, and went on to kill at least 695 people, making it the deadliest tornado in the United States history, and the second deadliest in the entire world. There has been a long-running controversy surrounding the event, with people doubting whether a single tornado was responsible for the event. Now, during this catastrophic event, over 300 teachers and students were hiding in the basement of DeSoto Grade School. However, they didn't survive, as the building would go on to collapse on top of them all, leaving no survivors. According to locals, since the horrific event and untimely death of all those trapped inside of the school, children's voices have been heard laughing, and even apparitions have been reported in the playground at the school. It is said that these apparitions were children wearing out-of-date and torn clothing. According to one local, a man named Eric, he stated, I quote, "I used to go to DeSoto Grade School. I went from kindergarten to 6th grade. Everyone that went to DeSoto knew that every year they had a Halloween party type thing at the school. Well, the night before Halloween, my sister and I stayed after to help set up. We'd never experienced anything scary, so we didn't have a problem with staying to wait for our mum. After about 5 minutes, we went back inside because it was cold. It was dark, so I shined my phone around, and my sister started screaming. I didn't see anything, but when we got home, she told me she saw a little girl in tattered clothing sitting in the corner with something on her lap. Very, very spooky indeed." Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with that list? Were there any playgrounds that we missed? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos, top 5 cursed roads in North America. DC Carter said, "I drive Riverdale Road so often, what a fun time it is. My bucket list is to go to all the locations that Lucy makes lists about." Well, that seems like one hell of a life goal. I hope you do that, but just don't get possessed along the way. No, thank you. That's not on me, that's on you. The Ding1701 said, "Lucy, speaking of roads, do you have trouble driving down on the right side of the road? Love your Beetlejuice pants." Well, thank you. Yeah, my pants are great. I know that. But I never drove in the UK, so I actually know how to drive correctly, so thank you. I do drive on the right side of the road. Yashiroko said, "I'm probably going to hell then. Lucy, I honestly thought you were around 30 years old, but not because of how you look, but because of how you act and because of your presence in general. But then again, I guess 30 isn't much older than 27 anyway." No, that's fine. That's a backhanded compliment for sure. Just remember, I am 27. Do not try and age me, but I appreciate you thinking that I'm very mature. I try my best, but don't call me 30 again. Grapes Jr. said, "Comment section, 10% Lucy's pants, 90% I drive this road. What will I think next time?" That's very true. It was between my pants and the roads. A lot of you said you drove those roads, which is good for you, but you're probably gonna die young. Why am I saying this stuff? What am I even talking about?
Yeah, good pants too.
Thanks! Yeah. My pants are great. Yeah, my pants are really great. Thanks, guys. Doug Russell said, "Way to nail the word rural. I was waiting for it in the outtakes, but you aced that. Is there a way to f it up? Rural. How would I say it otherwise? If you struggle, I'm really sorry. Rural. Lydia Allen said, my boyfriend Sam has been trying to get his comment read out for ages. Please read mine first, Lucy. Hi, Mr. Samuel. Well, there you go, Lydia. You beat him to it. I don't even know a Sam. Never seen him in the comments. You're probably both lying. But here's a shout out for you. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary bit. And until next time, see you later. I'm so pale. It's like blinding me. Oh, I think I need to burp. Me second guessing whether I'd want my future. Gassy, guys. Oh, I just need to burp all day. Whoa. Chris, why would you do that? It is said that Mother Bethel African Episcopal. It is said that no, I can't say that.